I'm trying to hide junk in here. I never announce when I'm going to do a feed. I just feel like doing them and do them. I was going to do one yesterday, but I was too tired. So we've got the holidays on us now, which is great. Gives us the opportunity to relax a bit, get a few jobs done, and all that sort of stuff. Study's a mess. I've got the Starlet's windscreen in here because I still haven't fixed that. And I've got my cup of tea, and I've got a box over there, and rubbish all over the thing there, and it doesn't matter. Kaiden, is that you, Kaiden? So that's not really much happening. I just thought I'd get on here and say good day to a few people. Kaiden, I think I did. Oh, Blackpool. Huh. My stomping ground when I was a little kid. I like Blackpool. Have I still got all the teapots pouring onto the promenade? XC updates. I haven't sent the headlights out. Oh my god. I haven't sent the headlights out. G'day, John. How are you? Oh, your things, the XBC parts you sent me. Do you need them back? There are 2 sets of lower screen moldings, wiper mechanism. The wiper mechanism that you gave me, I used, but I've still got yours. So if you need any of those parts back, let me know. Hello, how are you? So I'm looking at cleaning up some stuff. So the XC, they've got the wiring on the Mustang, yeah. My brother's rewired his, and he's used an aftermarket wiring loom, and it's got 30,000 circuits in it. Doing well, Adrian. Thank you very much. What was I going to say? Oh, I can't remember now. It doesn't matter. How far are you from finishing your Mustang, Grant? Because I know you've been working on it for a while. Yes, John, I've got them. I've got black ones and chrome ones. Is that the same as XC? I think it would be, wouldn't it? I'll just send them off to you. Text me your address. I can't remember what your address is. I've sent something there before. But just text me the address and I'll pack them up and send them. I've got them on the back porch in a box at the moment. And there's just other bits and pieces. So the XC, Graham has been working on guards. He's got them. He's got one in Ipotec. So all the metalwork's finished and he's just got a bodywork in there, I think. Bike update news. I've been doing electrical appliances at the moment. Bike updates, I haven't got any news on that. They're still where they are. The 350's on the front porch. Hey, Bender, how you going? It's nice to see you. Oh, you just got. Have you got all the interior stuff, Grant? To put it together? John's got everything to fit his Mustang all back together. He's been working on this MGC at the moment. And, yeah, so the guards, I'm not in a hurry. I plan to finish it off in the spring. But I've got to take the gearbox out again because the clutch fork failed. The aftermarket one I bought. So I've got to take the gearbox out of the XC, and it's cold and miserable and raining and windy at the moment because we're in the middle of winter. So I don't really like being out there and sort of working, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's the same as John. All his interior's all done, sitting inside. I think he's in the lounge room with a sheet over it. He's got everything there to finish it. And it's a killer car. It's beautiful. I think he should turn the motor over from time to time, though, because that's quite a high power thing, and it's just been sitting there. He hasn't been doing anything with it. It's just kind of sitting idle. He got locked down in Sydney, you poor bugger. I actually I hate to say it, I quite enjoyed the lockdown because I get sick of just being in the car all the time, and I just like to unwind at home. But you know, I didn't see any of my friends or anything. But yeah, it was all right. I mean, for me, it was anyway because it didn't affect my work as much. It affected the kids. The kids had a miserable time. But from a teacher's point of view, the only problem I had was getting kids to do work. Do I plan on keeping XC? Yeah. It's the XC's just had so much in the way of donated parts that There's no way. I mean, if I did sell it, I'd get in contact with everyone that donated stuff and have to give them money because, you know, you don't give people parts for their project and then watch them sell it and make money. That would be really bad. So, no, I wanted one for a long time. Initially, I wanted an XA, and the XC came up, and it's the same sort of body, so I sort of I'll go with that. But it's a very nice car, the XC. So it'd be crazy to sell it. You wouldn't do all that and sell it. Yeah. Well, you're not starting until it's back together, otherwise you won't finish it properly. I did that with the XW. I never got round to. I didn't even fit the little interior pinch weld molds at the top of the B pillars. I never got around to doing that. So that's cool. I can get all that sort of stuff done, and I'm just sort of thinking about room at the moment. But you know, it's all good. I'm just taking a break from it at the moment and mucking around with vacuum cleaners and mix masters and stuff that doesn't get any views, but it doesn't matter. It's good unwinding stuff, and it's, you know, just trash that I had lying around. I can make it go again. Old fans, there's one behind me there, and all that sort of stuff. Just fiddling and farting around with it. It's good fun. But no, I really enjoy doing that sort of thing. I don't really care. There's even a whole bunch. I've got about, I'm going to say 6. Do you remember the Tamiya RC cars from the 80s? Thundershots and that sort of stuff. I've got a bunch of those as well. And I thought I should probably get them out and recode them because there's 2 of them sitting. I put 2 together out of bits I had for the kids when they were young. And I think Charlie shunted one of the girls in the shin with one. And we sort of put them away because they were quite fast. Too fast for a little kid with a remote control unless they're particularly good at that sort of thing. And I was watching this guy, and people collect that stuff now. And I didn't even know about it, but I've got a tub full of bits and pieces, you know, chassis and stuff like that. And I've got motors and, you know, all this sort of other stuff. And I thought, well, I could probably throw one of those together and fix up a couple of ones that are there because tires have perished and that sort of stuff. I've got a couple of brand new ones that haven't been used. I can't remember what they're called now. One's a Mini and one's a Thundershot, and I don't know. I still have a new weather strip I never fitted to my XC. Which one is it? Are you talking about the Beltline moldings or the weather strip? No, my XC's gone well. I just haven't really touched it lately. Never heard of a Valiant Drifter? Yes. The Drifter was Chrysler's answer to the Sundowner and the Sandman. My father had a Charger version. I've never heard, Beltline. I've never heard of a Charger Drifter. I knew they were panel vans because they were that sort of late 70s surfy type car. As I said, you know, Sandman's a huge money now. You don't see many Sundowners. I don't think I've seen a Sundowner. I'm sure people get XD panel vans, put Sundowner transfers on them or stickers on them, but I haven't seen a Chrysler one in years. But yeah, all that sort of stuff. Panel vans, particularly windowless panel vans, worth a fortune. In fact, some people even take the windowed ones and make them windowless, particularly on old stuff, AH Holdens and that sort of stuff, because they're just so rare. You just never see them. But it's all good. I haven't got any complaints. When I do complain, no one listens. Yeah, sticker pack. Oh, okay, Grant. Good luck. It doesn't sound good if there's a vet there. Yeah, sticker packs. But it's like, oh, Surfaroo. What was that? Surfaroo. Was that a ute package or something? Was it? Well, that would have been a panel van too. I've never seen one, I don't think. I remember the horn cars, the McLeod horn cars that were stuck covered in stickers from the dealer, Max McLeod. I never liked them. XB van, yeah. That makes sense. So was the Surfaroo the predecessor to the Sundowner, was it? When did they start doing Sundowners? But there was an XC Sundowner, wasn't there? Or did they start with XD? I can't remember. I never knew much about them because I never actually wanted one. I mean, I have one now because it'd be a great investment, but I don't remember many of those things. I remember the horn cars because they were on the front of Wheels or Modern Motor or one of those magazines years ago, and I thought they were gross. Do you know what I mean? I thought, no, Ford did a better job than that guy. But it's like, I think people are comparing them to the Yenko Camaros, but the Yenko cars were like B blocks stuck in Camaros and that sort of stuff. He did much more significant work. And the other thing was the Neil Nielsen from Nielsen Holding Furniture Gully. He actually got HQs. He got a few HQs. There was an article somewhere I read, and he put El Camino stickers on them or badges on them, and was selling El Camino package HQs. I don't know how many got out, but Holden found out about it, and they gave him a really, really stern warning and said, "You'll lose your dealership if you keep that." But there was an article. There was a photo of one. What have we got? They had metallic purple HQ Sandman with bubble windows at the back. That's a real 70s thing, isn't it? Jelly bean wheels. GS van, factory decks, back to rival Sandman, yeah. Gee. When's the bubble going to burst on this stuff? They're just so expensive. God, I can't believe how expensive these things are now. American races today. Okay. Yeah, so haven't been doing anything of any great interest to car guys, given that it's pretty much a car channel. Just, you know, I just look for things to muck around with. Do you know what I mean? And the bikes, I should get back into the bikes because I'm very, very close. I'm extremely close to finishing. Well, the 350 and the Suzuki are virtually finished. The 750 is not. It still needs some parts, and I feel kind of bad with that because I shelved it, and I shouldn't have. I should have kept going with it, but it was one of those things. I keep doing this, and it must be frustrating to people when you get a job, you start doing it, you go flat out, and then you get almost to the very end and just stop, and that must be very frustrating. And I have got a habit of doing that. Buy bids. Well, I have to order some parts. I still had the shit to that guy, that Cruising Image guy, because he dudded me out of about $300 worth of parts. He never sent them, and that's why I just shelved it because I was almost finished. I think I was going to put a cheap regulator rectifier in it because the 250 Suzuki's didn't have one, and when you're running it, it's throwing something like 16.5, 17 volts out. And at the time, the thinking was, you know, lead acid will soak that up. Not very good for it. You just got to keep your electrolyte level up, but that's just too much. You know, anything over 14.5 in my book is just too much. And I wouldn't want to use the lead acid. I'd probably use an AGM or something in it. Although no, I've got a battery. I've got a lead acid battery for that. Phil gave me one. It's still in its box and doesn't have the fluid added yet, the sulfuric acid added yet. But the Suzuki's very nearly done. That's the only problem that now is it's dusty. So yeah, I will get back into it. I've kind of worked myself into a corner that I got too much crap here. And there's more crap I want to get, but I haven't got it yet. But yeah, I've got to evaluate because like my wife's not here anymore, and she's going to need a place. And yeah, it's all quite difficult at the moment with planning. So we'll just see how it goes. Yeah, well the XC, well, not much. It needs. What does it need? I've got to get the headlights silvered. They're in a box. I just haven't sent them yet. And Graham's doing the guards. They're in Evotech at the moment, which is the 2-pack epoxy. And he's just got a bodywork them. And from what he said, like he metal finished them pretty much. They're perfect. And so when I go there, I was going to do a road trip. I was thinking about doing a road trip these holidays, but I don't think we're allowed in Adelaide at the moment. Because he didn't want to sort of post them back with a freight company. He wanted to actually, I think he wanted to drop them off, or I was going to go and pick them up. And once they're back, I've got the grill there. I haven't fixed the grill. It's got a couple of stress fractures from hanging on the wall, I think. I don't think it had them before. I've just got to do that. Bring the headlights in. There's a 2-week turnaround on the headlights. So to get it looking like a complete, I've got the bumper there, but I haven't had it re-chromed. But again, it'll clean up and it'll look all right. So to get it completed is virtually nothing. I've just got to take the gearbox out and muck around with that whole clutch fork thing because it's playing up. And then it's done. So everything's finished on it. Just after that, after that, the console. But you can get a roadworthy without a console. So it's finished. You know, drip rail moldings. Hang on, there's another one. Drip rail moldings I haven't got yet. But you know what? It's virtually finished. It's as good as finished. And then just taken in for a ride. But you know, I'm not anticipating any problems with that because it's got all the TGR stuff on and all this sort of business. So the guy that does the rover is a great guy. You know, he knows I put a lot of work into the cars, and you take a car to him, and he's always, you know, happily surprised. So that's nice. But yeah, it shouldn't be too long. Why does a teacher want to come to my house? I won't be around. I don't. Yeah, I'm in and out all day. I remember you as a teacher at RSC in 2007. Ah, Owen, I remember you. How you going? I haven't seen you in years. Owen Ridderveen. I know you well. I had you in like Year 9 Tech Medal or something, I think, didn't I? I remember. How you going anyway? You must be about 26 now, aren't you? Show you his bike, does he? What sort of bike has he got? Driving freight trains now. Wow. So you're doing a lot of interstate stuff. Do you have to wear a mask? Wow. 32. Bullish. Really? You're 32? That's got to be 17 years since I taught you. My gosh. Oh, 500 cc's. If I'm around, get him to text me. And if I'm around, but I go and see my mother, and I've got to go to the bank, and I've just got a heap of stuff to do. When you were a teen, what car did you want to own? And what was your first car? The cars I wanted to own, I wanted a Falcon from each year level. I wanted to get like 20 Falcons because back then the XD was a current model. The first car was actually an HZ Premier, but I bought it from my brother because I inherited some money, and it was a beautiful 5-litre HZ Madeira red with a Turbo 4 308 and 4-disc brakes, honeycomb wheels, a beautiful car. And it was traded in at Nielsen's, and the people who bought it put it straight to work. It was knackered very soon after that. But I sold it back to my brother. He had 2 cars. He had that and an MGB, which was in bits. And then I sold it back to him and took his MG, or gave him, I swapped them, if you like. And then I painted this MGB with rattle cans, put a big Union Jack on the bottom, and that was my first car. Steve Hall, g'day. How you going? David Firth from Yorkshire. And I am drinking the obligatory, if I can get it, Yorkshire Gold. From Chorley, near Southport. Yeah, I remember where you are. I didn't know where Chorley was. I think I spoke to you once before. He will do a stinking burnout at your house. Oh, I could probably live without that. To Horsham and Wagga. I was looking at a video on the XL250 rebuild. I was a bit surprised to see your face. Yeah, you would. Well, when I had you, I wasn't doing this. I started doing this YouTube bizarre, I think, in 2012. And I kind of mucked around with bikes a lot when I was a kid, but not, you know, as an adult. I've had my bike license for 20 years and never really used it. So I've got a habit of going between bikes and cars, and I did a washing machine, and I've done a fan or a couple of fans. You know, I just do anything that's in the garage. But that's a long. I know you well. I remember you well. You had really short hair. Like, I remember Hillman Hunter Estate. three-tone brown, brownish, and rust. Mum had a Hillman Arrow when I was really little, before she had a Torana, and that was based on a Hunter. The only difference was it had the same back and side treatment, but it had round headlights instead of rectangle. She had trouble with it too. She had trouble with that, and she had trouble with the Morris Major Elite, and it was always points. First car was a red VK Commodore. I lusted for a VK after seeing Brock's Big Bang from 1984. Yeah, the VK is a nice car. I was working at Nielsen Holden when they were new, and I remember moving them around, and there was a Calais a 5-litre one with leather trim, and gee, it was nice. And back then they used to use quite soft leather, much nicer than what's in like my Commodore now. That might as well be cardboard. But they were nice cars. They were fitted out well. And they had the digital dash. I'll show that. That's all right. You got a KE55 video, have you? Yeah, but I really wanted a VK. My brother ended up buying a VL a year later. Then someone drove out in front of me. He bingled it. It wasn't a bad bingle. And he kind of lost interest in it. Then I bought it. But he sent that to Holden Guillotine. And they did suspension mods, they put aero wheels, turbo front brakes, turbo exhaust, well, you know, the bigger exhaust. And it was a beautiful car, a 5-speed manual. Then I bought all brand new Calais front and taillights and rear garnish and put that in, and the side panels, and painted it the paler silver. So it looked like a Calais. It was a beautiful car, and I sold it with only 40,000 Ks on the clock. And I put the rego in CWU464 at Vicarage Rego check, and it said it was stolen in 2003. But it was a really nice car. If it was a turbo, it would have been a killer car. I'll have a look at your KE55 video. Yes, I will, Bryce. First car was a 1963 Chevy Impala Pillows, around 1977. That would be good. $250. Now they're about 250,000. Was in good condition except for damaged front door and cracked windscreen. You have to pay $250 for a windscreen. Yeah, VL Calais are a really nice car, aren't they? And they're a good size too. They're not too big. And you can sort of have a lot of fun in them. This had all the suspension done, this thing, and had Yokohama 8008s on it, which have kind of like it looks like a bald sidewall, that tyre. You could throw it into any corner at any speed. It was an incredible handling car. It didn't have... it just didn't have the go to match its braking and handling performance. Keep an eye out for a CB100. You don't often see them. Some clown wanted 12 grand for one that had been restored. I finally sent an email to you, I think. I never used YouTube for messages. It's about the passenger side XC. Oh, yeah, you did. Sorry, Saul. Yes, you did. I owe you a headlight, don't I? I'll send you photos. You wanted photographs of it. It's pretty ratty. But, I mean, these days they can recondition anything, I'm assuming. Fiat 128 Special, we had two of those. We had a 128L and a 128 3P. And I rebuilt the engine in the 3P. And then after about 5,000 Ks, something went very wrong because the cam belt broke, and they're an interference motor. And we just gave the car away to the mechanic down the road and said, I've had enough of this. An impulse buy, drove well, but just fell to bits. Then you got a refurbed Hillman Imp Super. Lasted for ages, and the girlfriend bent it. The Hillman Imp, didn't that have the little Coventry Climax motor? Was that the Hillman Imp? I can't remember. And you can modify them, and they scream. And two guys can pick them up. They're very light. They're Allied Motors, I think. 128s were good little cars. They scream on the freeway, but they got great little revvers. And they got a 2-barrel Weber on them. They're only like a 1300 cc. They just don't have a lot of blowing torque. She's that EH Premier station wagon, my God, but did need a little bit of TLC. She sold it in 2005 for $1,500, and that's what you would have got for it back then. I paid $700 for an HD Premier. It was full of rat poo. It didn't have a motor, and it had a rust hole below the rear screen. That was it. And I feel bad. The guy's name was Bunker. We used to call him Bunker. What was his name? They used to call him Archie. Yeah, Bunker. They used to call him Bunker. And he was a great guy. He died, actually, which was really, really sad. I think he had an aneurysm or something. Well, he sold me this car for $700 and had the books with it, and it had the door trims like new, and he kept them inside his house. He was a hoarder, a big hoarder. Well, anyway, I put a 202 in it, just one that we had at work from under a tree or something. Got it going, and I sold it to a guy in Tasmania for $2,700. And I felt bad that I made $2,000 out of it. And this was, I bought that in 2007, and he said, I don't care what it looks like, I'll drop 20 grand on it. And he sent a photo of it back, and it's on the road and it looks mint. And I thought later on, I mean, that car now, gee, I mean, that's a lot of money. Hi Mark, how are you? First was a 59 Plymouth Belvedere. Drove around with my mates wagon when I was 14. I've got a 57 Belvedere. I haven't finished it yet. 59's a nice car. So I think Scott's got a 59. Apparently, Imogen was developed from a Blitz water pump. That's right. And they used to be able to, two guys could run with this water pump carrying it. That was an imp motor. Her EH had Celica 5-speed. I think it was the only modification. That's actually quite a nice mod too, because they're good on freeways and stuff when you do that. Robertson took all the hoses from the respirator hospitals in the 70s and used them for his helmet imposes. First car was an XBGS. You probably remember me working on it all the time. Then bought an XT GT that I still own to this day. Well done. XT GT is huge money. I don't remember UXBGS. I always think of you as patrols because you used to love them. I remember that. Was it green? Was it actually, hang on, was it a green XBGS? Someone was in the middle of your fan hair drying video and noticed you were live. Oh, Hobie. Yes, I am. Thanks, Josh. Thank you very much. Chrysler Glance, yeah. JDM stuff's going up like crazy. Glance will always be worth a lot more than Sigmas. Sigmas aren't really worth anything, but unless it's a turbo. But Glance, so G, B, C, and D. What holiday is it in Oz? It's the school holiday. What do I think of Alvin Purple? Oh, God, that was Graham Blundell, wasn't it? Where he's irresistible to young girls. I don't really always blowing up gearboxes. What did you do to them? What was it? A 302 or something, was it? Blowing up gearboxes. If those single rails were yanking the shifter out of them. That seems to be the biggest Achilles heel with those things. So it was green. Yeah, I do remember it. I had my XD then. That was a lemon, that thing. That was a burgundy one. 302. It was gutless and it used to drink petrol. It was nothing like the brown one I've got now, which was the original one we had. Burgundy one. 302. It was gutless and it used to drink petrol. It was nothing like the brown one I've got now, which was the original one we had. I bought this burgundy one after I had a Merc, and I thought I want something that's good to run, cheap to run, reliable, and so I bought an XD, and everything broke on it. Even the bloody rear door lock mechanism broke, and just I redid the engine. I sort of re-ringed it and all this, and we went to Queensland. And a friend of mine was driving. I was asleep, and when I woke up, I was in the back. I think another friend was in the front. We're driving back from Queensland, and I woke up and I looked around and I thought, we are shifting. We are really moving. And I looked at him. He's doing 150 or something in this thing. He was flying. And then I thought, he's going to cook this thing. And I looked at the temperature, and the temperature was on 0. It was on cold. And I said, pull over. And he'd run all the coolant out. It got a split radiator hose. And I changed that. It was obviously a dog hose I put on. And the car always blew smoke after that because he cooked it. They had no mechanical sympathy. Had 84 or 85 Corona. Oh, the 22R. Yeah, they did. They flew. They were tail happy. That was the Avanti. That would have been called the Corona Avanti. The 22R was for Hiluxes. It was a small truck motor and 2.4 litre, and they stuck him in these bloody Coronas because the Corona originally had just the 2 litre 2S motor, and that was a slug. But it was appropriate for the Corona, if you know what I mean. But the 22R really woke them up, and they were tail happy. Did they have a limited slip or something in them? I remember getting the back crossed up in one of them when I was at Toyota. Could you run a VW bug gearbox upside down? Don't know. Can I pay you to tune up my car like the mate tires on your channel? No, I don't work on other people's cars, man. I stay away from that because it just turns into more and more, and I've got nowhere to do it. I've hemmed myself in with too many cars and bikes. That's crazy what I've done. Right. That's crazy what I've done. Yeah, they did. They weren't a bad car. Toyota always made good stuff. The only problem with Coronas and stuff like that is they're a little bit boring, a bit flat. But people that have had them, they've got no complaints. You know, I was watching a video, but people that have had them, they've got no complaints. You know, I was watching a video today on the 10 worst engines, and they're pulling up BMWs and all sorts of cars like that because they're unreliable, and there's Kia Sorentos or something. Oh, yeah, what is the Sorento? Is that Kia? Some of those had bad engines and all this sort of stuff. I thought to myself, well, Toyota never did. So, yeah, I think as long as you're happy with what you got, it doesn't really matter what other people think. Sometimes the cheap cars, ones like Starlets, that's the reason I've got one of those, because no one wanted them. And it's like driving a little office chair around. They don't use any fuel, and you get where you're going, and you can put a lot of stuff in the bank and in the back, and you keep the mileage off your nice cars. I got a 75%, yeah, 18R. The 18R is a shocker to do the chains on, the timing chains. I think there's two of them. And one of them, you have to feed it through the head. It's very difficult. There's an idler shaft in the way or something. I think, I can't remember. Or a casting or something. I can't remember. I remember having trouble doing it, though. Fords and Holdens, yeah. The build quality's not there. You know, if you go to put a door on a Ford or a Holden, well, particularly an older one, doesn't fit as well as a Japanese car. They're pretty good. They're easy to work on. But the good thing about Fords and Holdens now is they're pretty good. They're easy to work on. But the good thing about Fords and Holden now is if there's going to be a good thing, is the fact that with the tragic news that they've stopped making them here, the value of them has gone up. But I don't know how sustainable it is. I don't know how long that's going to last. I mean, everything just gets so expensive. Yeah, Starlets are perfect for driving to work or doing the shops. That's what I use mine for. And it's just, you go into Eastland car park, and Eastland's horrendous. And you think to yourself, I just don't get a stuff if I can't find a park, because I will find a park. And you can squeeze them into places they're not supposed to be. Is the zinc plater also called star plating? The second, no. Star plating is a guy who, he's very expensive. If his work's good, he did a chrome, the 750 Honda's rear wheel for me, but he charges. No, it's not him. The zinc plater is Warner's Metro, which is another 100 metres up the road on the same side. Well, if you go to the other side, it's a railway line, but yeah, on the same side. Drove a shovel-nose Corona from Sydney to Melbourne about 69. My mum booked accommodation and going to turn out to be a brothel. Oh, cool. Well, if she booked a brothel for you, you probably didn't know what he got. The shovel-nose Coronas are worth money too now. People, there's a guy, I think, what's he got, an SR20 one or something? And it looks stock from the outside. Got an XW and purchased aftermarket, and it looks stock from the outside. Got an XW and purchased aftermarket front brake hose, and it seems when I turn the wheel, it puts strain on the hose. Did I have the same? No, I got mine from New Brakes in Ringwood, and he makes the hoses. I don't think I bought them online. I bought brake hoses online before. I bought the rear one, I think, and he makes the hoses. I don't think I bought them online. I bought brake hoses online before. I bought the rear one, I think, for some reason. Maybe Pete didn't have the fittings or something. I can't remember. And because it's a dual exhaust, it's got dual exhaust on it, it was too short because the routing of it's slightly different. So I put an adapter in. But the brake hoses, you pay similar from on eBay, if you know what I mean. And if they're too long, if they're too short, it just changes it. But no, I think I got Pete to do mine. Peter is Peter Wynn, and he's got a shop called New Brakes on Bond Street in Ringwood, and that's where I go for my brake stuff. And he knows everything. He's been in brakes forever, and you know, you go in there and he'll look at a hose and he'll tell you what it's off. He's very clever, and he's got little fittings for all the different threads, the metric and imperial stuff. I've always preferred to use him. The Crown I had was pretty sporty. It was a 5-speed manual. Hang on, I've lost the spot. And it came out with a boot spoiler and a front wing foil. Is that an Avanti, or is that, did they have a sort of sporty package? I don't know. XCs are being sought now more and more. If I had my time again, like if I was looking at doing an XC now, I probably wouldn't, because the prices are ridiculous for parts. I've been lucky with mine because I scored a lot of parts from the guy I bought the shell from. I mean, he gave me a radio that looked like it never been used. It's a bit scratchy on the pot when you turn it on with the volume and that sort of thing, but it looks untouched. He gave me, you know, next to the clock, people always drill there for switches and lights and stuff. He gave me a blank one of those. He gave me an ashtray that never been used, and cigarette lighter never been used. He gave me padded glove box. He gave me all sorts of stuff. He said, yeah, you can have it. Or $10 here, $20 there. I mean, nowadays, you know, a good padded glove box is $100 or more, you know, and it's ridiculous what people sort of want for parts that they can't use. They're just looking at making as much money as they can, and it takes the realism out of being able for the average guy to be able to do a restaurant on a car like that, because it's just not practical to. Vic Roads are making it looking for club permit pay me 30 instead of 25. I read that. It would be a shame as many 25 to 20-year-old Aussie cars will be lost. Keep it 25. The problem, but people have used it though. So 25 years ago is 1996, which means the first Starley or something like that can be registered in the club permit. But people figured out quickly that 4 club permit cars is a lot cheaper than registering one normal one. And 4 gives you enough driving for the whole year. I've got a big problem because Suzanne got a parking fine out the front of her house for $165, and I made a complaint and said, you know, single income family, she's, you know, lost her job and COVID, and they never sent anything back until we got a debt collector thing. Is there an address on there? From Fines Victoria, and I rang up the council today and said, look, we didn't know anything about this, and all I said was, I think it's disgusting that there was someone on the 5th of January going around when there's no people around, everyone's on holiday, taking parking fines, and there's no signpost. And then she hung up on me, and it's like, you know, it's pretty hard. I get annoyed when I think about it. 30 years in most other states, yeah, in South Australia, I think it's 30 years. Should I buy my principal's 80s Pentara? I'm not a fan of those, particularly if it's a CA. Pentaras with the K24, all right, but they're kind of a bit of a blah car, if you know what I mean. I haven't offended anyone. How's your brother's Mustang coming along? We do a follow-up video of it. Yeah, we'll at some point. It's going well, but it's not going at all, if you know what I mean. So there's no issue with it. It just sits there. He got all hung up over a leaky brake line because he got stainless brake lines. I said, just get the normal ones because they're much easier to flare. Or get Peter to do it. Or take it into your work because he works at the Hilly factory and get it done there. One of his most is an XC gear 6-cylinder. Shane, a friend of mine, had one of those. In a 6-cylinder Fairmont gear, a carburetor one. It's just hard finding stuff. In fact, it wasn't long ago, our assistant boy, he was an assistant principal, he had 2 XCs, red ones, Falcon 500s. One was in mint condition, and he sold it for $350. Can you imagine doing that, man? Yeah, it's just ludicrous. My biggest problem is space, though. That's what I'm sort of more worried about. When watching work in cars, I appreciate how much knowledge you have and that you aren't afraid to do things differently or more economically. Lateral thinking is the word I'm after. Yes. No, sorry, Harvey. I didn't know. Thank you very much. Sorry for saying that. Harvey, I didn't know I was coming on. I just turned the camera on and thought, might go and do a feed. I'll stay another 20 minutes or so and make it an hour. Harvey came over and he gave me a sender for the XC because the oil pressure light wasn't working properly, or the oil pressure gauge wasn't working properly. And we had a couple of bickies and a good chat. SR was super responsive. Yeah, that was just their. They used to have stickers like that, and O2 Advantage was another thing because they had an O2 sensor in them or something. But we can't have two. I don't know. The super responsive one was also on the. Wasn't that on the 2S motor as well? I don't think that was confined to just the 22R. 89 Pintara, fleet cards, I like on board a lot of them. Yeah. The 89 Pintara is the R31 Pintara. That's probably I'd prefer the model before that. I can't remember what it's called now. If Bender's here, he'll know because he used to work on it. But the R31 Pintara was this full-size Skyline, basically, with a little CA20 motor in it. I'm getting text messages. Who the hell is sending me all these messages? Can I say who it is? 4 messages. James Brown. Watching you live on YouTube right now. You're a truly inspiration. Give us a shout out. Hi, James. How'd you get my number? I don't know where they got my number from. James Brown. I don't know a James Brown. I wonder if Graham's around. I wouldn't mind talking to him. Oh, my connection. Is this connection going slowly, is it? Can anyone still understand me? Because I keep getting problems with it. First car was a 1971 Opel Manta, 1900 SR. Not a hero, but I absolutely loved it. Is that the singer? No, it wasn't the singer. It wasn't the singer. He's just texted me again. Who is this guy? More importantly, where did you get my number? I don't normally give it out. Oh, the connection's fine. Thank you, James. Whoever you are. Cup of tea. Hope you're well. Thank you, Adam. I'm well. I'm having a cup of tea as well. Have two 75 XB GS 12-slot wheels I took off my car before selling it 20 years ago. Over center caps and nuts. The wheels and caps have surface rust. Are they worth anything? I'm sure they are, if they're original Ford ones. Now I'm getting spammed. All right, so this guy. I don't know who that is. The name of the plater is Warner's Metro in Power Road in Bayswater. So if I do a search, I don't know if I'm going to do Street View on this phone. I don't normally look on the internet on my phone because I have trouble seeing it. I'll try and get a photo of the joint so I know exactly what it looks like. But they do really good plating. Although the last time I was there was this bloody guy there I don't recognise, and he charged quite a lot, which kind of put me off a bit because it was always very. I used to go and see this guy Tubbs. He's a sort of like this large Asian guy, and this other bloke comes up and goes, $100 and $10 extra to stick it in the oven and all this stuff. And I thought, oh, you're good on you. Warner's Metro. Warner's Metro warning. If there's images, I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, there's no photo of it. Come on. Map. Let's have a look. See if we can get you a photo of this joint. It's a really small, it's quite a small place. Like a T. Oh, there it is there. Here, look at this. It's on power. I'll try and make that bigger. That's it there. And it's on Power Road, and it's really easy to drive past it. You just got to. There's always cars parked on the left-hand side, so you got to kind of approach it fairly slowly. What am I up to? So the audio is just about holding on in the UK. How much time have we got? Oh, it's 3/4 of an hour in. New subscriber, found your channel really informative. Thanks very much. That's kind of you to say. The matter was a two-door coupe, twin headlights and twin round rear lights. Was it anything like a Cavalier? G'day Graham, how are you? Busy, are we? Graham has a new toy and he's been very busy with it. And it's a very peachy toy, by the look of it. I was talking to a guy yesterday from, I can't say where he's from, and he has access to an EJ wagon that was purchased new. It was a one owner, but the guy died, and I think the wife used it, but she was a church on Sunday car. It's dirty, but it's done no miles. And I said to him, get it. Hi, Jason. How are you? Just want to wish you and the family all the best from the UK. Oh, nice to see you. Yeah, hang on, I'll have a look. Oh, new door trims. Do people make repaint door trims for them now? Or do you have to take your old ones in and they fix them? All right, now, Mr. James Brown, if you don't tell me who you are, I'm going to block you. Who are you and where did you get my number? Turn your messages. I don't know who you are. Yeah, Pintara with, 4-cylinder with 8 spark plugs. That's the CA20 motor. People like it, but I don't. I thought they were a pain in the neck, and I didn't see the point. They had them in Nissan Gazelles, and later Bluebirds, Series 3 Bluebirds had them as well. Oh, okay. So is that including a new card, is it? Okay. Time to say goodbye to this guy. You know. What the fuck is this? Hang on, who's this guy? I have no idea who's texting me. I've got no idea. Oh dear. Okay. Where am I going? What am I up to? Sorry. Nothing like a Cavalier. Oh, okay. So it's a long time before the Cavalier. I like the Cavaliers. I drove one around England. One of the ones that looked like a Commodore. Looked like a little Commodore hatchback. I had wind back sunroof. I had a ball in that thing. You still have the Bluebird? Yes, I do. Oh, you've got. Is that you that sent the other car photos? All right then. Yeah, James is gone. I don't know who James was, and I don't know how they got my number because I never give it out. Unless they got it from someone else. Yep, I gave them nothing, and they're making it all from scratch. Look up Winners Automotive Trimmers. They do full interior kits. What's a full interior kit worth for one of those things? Not that I could use one at the moment. Jesus. Oh, they're not spamming me now. They're doing it on my phone, which is worse. Otherwise, I'll just turn my phone off. They sent me a picture of a dildo. Not Bryce. Bryce just sent me photos of his cars. Oh, lovely Tirana there, Bryce. Is that your dad on a bike? There's like a lead sled and an EH wagon. I had an EH wagon, but I never restored it. Oh, goodness. Door trims and seats, about $4 grand. That's probably about right. watch oil pump gaskets and stuff like that with them, depending on how bad the seats are. Hello, Adrian. How are you today? I'm not ready to consider anything like that at the moment, though. I'm just sort of, you know how it is. Nudge, nudge. Nice to see you, Adrian. Well, I've been on nearly 50 minutes. Can you show chat the photos? Bryce, are you selling a car? Okay, we'll keep him happy and we'll put one of his cars on. This photo. That's a photo of somebody with a little kid on a motorbike. So yeah, I've got heaps to do. I'm just doing some basic electrical crap at the moment, and then I'll get back into the cars and bikes. The XC is the one I want to get finished first. That's been going on too long. And the moment I've got that on the road, I'll feel a lot more relieved. It's just been going on too long. Hello, Sasha. How are you? Good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing fine. You know, given the circumstances, it could be a lot worse, but I'm doing okay. And yeah, there's just a lot going on at the moment. I spent the last 2 weeks of the term just correcting and doing reporting stuff and all this sort of business. Mainly correcting. The reporting side doesn't take long. But, you know, they're not due till, I think, the first week back or something like that. And I just didn't want to work on them on the holidays. And I just thought, I'll pull out all stops. I'll get it all done. And just that way, when I go on holiday or when I stop work for the holidays, you know, it's just easy. I don't have to think about it. I do have to apologise for the state of this room. It's a mess. Should I mention I found a few extra rust holes in one of your guards? Yes, you did tell me. You said that was small. Is that right? I'll fix it. Thank you very much. I was going to try and get to you this holiday, but I don't think I'm allowed across the border. Anything on helping out with the XC headlight? What do you mean? I've got to find. It's in the boot of the car. But if you've sent me an email, I'll take a photo of it tomorrow and I'll email it to you. It was just the left-hand headlight, wasn't it? And I don't mind. I'll stick it in a box and send it to you. Because, like the ones I've got, I think the lens is all right. I think it just needs. The reflector redoing. One of them's got a broken, the little shade thing that goes over the bulb, the globe. Yeah, but the only state not in lockdown is South Australia. Yeah, but I don't think Victorians are allowed there, are they? XA Coupe Guy is a channel on YouTube, and he does sort of high-end restoration work on cars that are pretty notorious for being hard to work on. And he offered to do the guards on the XC. I mean, I can block a body and get it right, but a guard is a different ballgame and a lot of complex curves and that sort of stuff. And I just didn't feel I could do my car the justice it deserved. And so Graham was on here and he offered to help with the guards. Anyway, the deal was I was to do his engine, but the car he's got at this stage appears that it's got a very good engine in it. And you know, so yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be doing that or he's going to keep it the way it was. But yeah, that's about the size of it. So we have this other arrangement now, which is different again, and we haven't sort of said too much about it, but it'll come to fore sooner than later. I was actually sort of thinking he was going to mention it. I'm not mentioning it, just another sort of idea. We just have to play it all by ear. That's right. See how we go. But otherwise, it's all good. So there's a lot of stuff here. I think I might knock out the XC first. I want to get the Bluebird on the road. Rosie can do some learner driving in that. It's an auto magic. It's pretty good to stick a learner in an auto to begin with, just to get to know the road. The roads are a lot busier now than they were in 1984 when I got my license. And just to get the feel of the road, then you can try a manual after that. Did the Rover 75 build start date 1999 reach Australia? I don't know. I haven't done anything with the clutch forks, Graham. So I haven't even got under the car because it's raining and squally and horrible at the moment. I've got to get under there, though. I've got a hunch that they'll both be too short. But if that's the case, I'll send it back to you. But I had trouble, and I should never have put it in, but I had a window of time to get the engine and gearbox in the car. And I wanted to put the gearbox in with the car so I could stick it up and have it all bolted in, with the view that I would probably be taking it out again. And yeah, I'll be taking it out again. So I've got to get under the car. And look, these holidays, I mean, today was reasonably fine, but I'm always busy in the middle of the day, at the moment. So I just haven't had time to get under there. But it's early days in the holidays. We've got another fortnight, so I'll get under and have a good look at it. I might even get it knocked out. I'd like to get it knocked out in the holidays, actually. But I wasn't sure if they were too short, whether to just, modify the one that's in there out of the car so I can brace it properly. I don't know. I haven't got much faith in it, though, because it's kind of flimsy. I don't like the aftermarket stuff much. And particularly if it's going to fail before you've even got the car on the road. To my way of thinking, that's pretty useless. But I think really that was because I tried to modify it in situ. And that modification was, when I did it, I filmed it, and I thought, I don't know if it's going to work. And it didn't. I got to the end of the driveway and then couldn't get the car in gear, so I was crawling back on the starter motor to a point where we get down and push it back into the garage. Yeah, it doesn't make you want to go under a car. You put cardboard down, or you sit on a creeper, or you lie on a creeper, and it just sucks. It sucks. It's just, it's not good. And that's the sort of job where you'd really want to do it on a hoist. I don't really want to do it. I don't really want to do it anyway. I'd say just give it to someone and say, look, just change this out. But I've got to come and do it because I put it in there and it's rubbish. So it doesn't matter. We'll get round to it at some point. How are we going for time? It's 7:45. I wouldn't mind watching a bit of TV. I've been watching these forensic files shows, and they say, this person got murdered. Then they show you the body. It's like, what? Do we really need to see that? You got a heater in your workshop, Graham? You got a gas heater or anything in there? That'd be pretty hard. Although you'd warm up pretty quickly doing your work. Any MG Rovers in Australia? Yeah, there were. MGZTs, I've sent you those. There was also MGRs. There was a certain amount of MGRs that came out too. There wasn't many. A lot of the the only MGRs that came out was that the MGB V8 thing. The only ones that came out were the green ones. If you see the red ones are in Club, you know they're from Japan. A baby gas fire heater, get there. Comes to the UK, it's 20 degrees at 11 in the morning. 2 more days and summer will be over. 20 degrees, is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? I'm tipping that Celsius. Any recommendations on a brand for a Windsor starter motor? Mine in the XW is a Clapper that I got off eBay. I had a couple of starter motors here, Bosch ones. Ford used to fit the Clappers to the manuals. Hang on, how did they do it? No, the Clapper starters were on the autos, and the Bosch starters, they used to fit to the manuals. And 302s were Bosch anyway, but the 351s had the Clappers on the autos, on the FMX cars, I think. But I just got the one off eBay, and it was $200 or something. And I had trouble, and it was my fault because I fitted a Bosch one that didn't work. The XW's got a lot more compression than it had, and the Bosch one, I didn't have the earth sorted out. And when I put the Clapper one in, it spun really easily. And but the Bosch one didn't. But I don't know if I had the earth sorted or it just didn't have enough guts. The problem with starter motors is they're sitting in a really hostile environment underneath an exhaust manifold, and it's really easy to overheat them. And a lot of 6-cylinder XFs, we used to put starter relays on and change starter motors out of them because they weren't reliable after a given time. And the problem is the field windings burn. The field windings on the outer part of the starter motor housing, And those windings, those really fine wires, they actually, some of them short out, and the starter will still work. But when that happens, the motor will appear all right, but it just hasn't got the power it had, and so they crank really slow. My XD, that's had, I think it's only on its, it might be on its second or third starter motor from when it was new, but it still cranks slowly. It's never been a sprightly starter, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that MG was the MGR V8, so it was a Heritage body shell with a 3.9 litre V8, I think, Robot V8. Yeah, the other things, 9 out of 10 electrical problems in cars comes down to earth, particularly if you see indicators and brake lights doing this sort of thing when they're flashing. Another thing that causes them is Fords always used to use a flat trailer plug wire, and on the lid of it, it's a flat lid that's spring loaded. You would open it up and there's a wire, like a buzz bar sort of thing, going across to earth out the two outer connections, because if they don't make proper contacts, then the indicators flash at a much more increased rate. John, how are you going? I'm just about to leave. Not because you're here, but I'm just about to leave. So yeah, wiring is a real problem. Particularly people with Corvettes have a lot of trouble too, because they're fiberglass, bowl wells and all those sorts of things. You just got to make sure everything's earthed properly, or independently earthed in the case of a fiberglass car. Andy, how are you saying? Don't forget to put a like on this, Peter. I have to get back to work. Great to hear your voice this morning. So relaxing. Really? Do you think my voice? I don't think it's relaxing. I'm not tired, but I'm kind of in a subdued mood, if you know what I mean. I just thought it was a good time to get on and say hello to people. How's business, John? How's old school going? If you need 351 GT repro stuff, go and see John. Actually, if you need anything, go and see John, because he has access to a lot of things. Catch you later. I'm off to watch your last vid. Yeah, that was on a Mixmart. No. What's that last one on? I can't remember. A fan and a hairdryer. A 1956 hairdryer. This one, there was supposed to be thrown out years ago, and this hairdryer was, when I was about 9 or 10, it was Mum's. And when I was about 9 or 10, I pulled it apart by taking the back off. And then I went to pull the motor out, and what happened was I pulled the wire out of the field winding, and the field winding wires are really, really fine. And I looked at it and thought, there's no way I can fix that. And it sat in a box. It was in Park Orchards in Mum's place until she moved. There was a few things, and there was a floor polisher as well. And it sat in a box, and I pulled it out and looked at it. I thought, one day I might get around to fixing it, otherwise we'll chuck it out. Now, she bought this when she lived in England in the 50s. And I only kept it because it has a certain amount of cool look about it. That being said, when I looked on eBay, there were a few for like £15. They're not worth anything. So I pulled it apart and I repaired it, and it works like a little cracker now. And guys, yeah. Graham's videos are fantastic. Hello, XBGT fella. How are you? So yeah, I mean, I was just doing this, and car guys are not interested in, hairdryers from the 1950s, right? But I just thought it was a good way to get some content out while I was waiting on parts, or while the weather was rotten and I didn't really feel like doing anything. I hate cold. Yeah, cold floors suck. So I got a scissor lift. It only raises 4 feet, much better. You need to lift enough to get access from the road, from the rolly stall. Yeah, rolly stall. It would be, yeah. Cold floors are bad. They're very bad for your ankles and knees as well. Yeah, it just sucks. Sometimes you don't mind. Like if you're busy, you don't care. You don't even notice the temperature. But you've got to be busy and you've got to be really engaged in what you're doing. If you go out there, pull the door open and look at it, you sometimes just think, no, not today. I've got other stuff to do. I need to scratch my back. When will you make the video? Which video are you talking about? Oh, God. Oh, boy. What else have I been doing? I haven't really been doing anything else to speak of. That's just the start of holidays. It says the connection's unstable. I might hairdryer in a car channel. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's not. Look, hairdryer on a car channel. But the thing is, it wasn't supposed to be a car channel. I just had some cars I was playing with. It's an anything. I did a washing machine years ago, and they never get views, right? And that's all right. Sometimes people doing cars, particularly if they've got a few of them, there's a lot of stuff on cars that you wouldn't bother making a video out of. You wouldn't bother making videos. Yeah, it was pretty gross, me. Scratch my back, I suppose. You wouldn't make a video on doing an oil change on a car. I mean, people do that crap all the time. First, you warm the engine up. Then you take the sun plug out. But you make sure you got a drain tray there ready. Then you take the oil filter off. And don't forget to check that the seal came off the filter. We've seen this stuff a billion times. And I just didn't think... it was worth doing. So there's a lot of stuff you do on the car that's not even worth it. The XD I took out for a drive, and I could include this, I suppose, and the choke on the thermoquads. Sometimes I go like that, and you hold the revs up to clear them out. And what happened with it was it wouldn't clear out. So there's a fault, and I haven't even looked at it yet, but I'm tipping either the alternator's got a 7-volt feed off it to electrically heat up that release thing on the choke, pardon me, that's not working, or the actual coil itself is gone. Mark Evans, the MG's born. Yeah, he's great. Mark Evans is a veterinarian, and he was actually head of the RSPCA in England. The Is Born series, he did an E-Type, that was a car is born, he did a plane is born, did a trike is born, like he had a whole lot of Is Born series on different things he was making. And the only thing he kept, I think, was the trike. He didn't keep the MG, but there was one, he's all cheerful and he's great, but there was one where he wasn't very happy at all. And yeah, he didn't seem very happy at all in that one. He's quite bad-tempered, but he's brilliant to watch. He's very, very good to watch, particularly when he bags his director, which is Pete. He says, and Pete was in hospital, actually. Pete had a heart attack, I think. But I believe he recovered from that. But he's, oh, yeah, I've got tea, but it's not cold. Oh. Why is one tight? Yeah, the room's a mess because there, right there, where's my finger? This one. That's the Starlet's windshield here. And there's a box next to that, which I've got to throw out. But the Starlet's windshield's there because Susie came home for a week and I had it upstairs until I get rid of all the paint. So that is a mess over there and I couldn't tie the curtain back. This room's my study and it's a mess. And I don't really apologise for it, even though I think I probably should apologise for it because it's terrible. You can't sit at the desk either. Jade. He likes to joke around. My niece sent me a thing. Oh, I don't even freaking know what that is. Right. Oh, he kept Landy, did he? Yeah. He was brilliant, Mark Evans. As I said, he's a veterinarian. He's a very, very clever guy. But he kind of disappeared. And they've had a lot of personalities, English personalities on some of those shows. So Car SOS had someone Townsend. What was his name? I can't remember. I think he was a musician, a drummer or something. And there's a guy that's an engineer with massive sideburns that makes aircraft and flies them around. He pranked one and hurt himself. There's all these shows that came out of England, but the Is Born one's the one that I like. The Americans did all the West Coast Customs and Pin My Ride and American Chopper and American Hot Rod. And Hot Rod was my favourite because, well, at the time was my favourite because they were doing all very different stuff. And the other shows were kind of cake decorators. I think that's what Jesse James called the Chopper fellas. They called them, Fuzz Townsend. They called them cake decorators, where Boyd Coddington's crew were doing really innovative stuff. Jesse James is another one. He's a brilliant fabricator. I liked Phantom Works too. And I was talking to a friend, he couldn't stand it. But I suppose David Kindig's probably the one at the top of his game now, as far as fabrication is concerned and design. Of course, Chip Foose. But those guys they used to be on all these shows overhauling. Chip Foose used to show up on that. And I used to wonder, can that car be that good after a week? I always wondered, because everyone that's in the know with that sort of stuff says it's just BS. There's no way you can do that in a week. And a guy I met went to Huntington Beach, where Foose has his headquarters. And should I say this? Apparently the place stunk of filth. And he said, how much bog are they using here? Apparently it was covered in the mascot car, had a big crack in the bottom of the door or something like that. I thought, that doesn't sound right. But that's what he said. I don't believe it, but that's what I was told. But yeah, Fuzz Townsend was the other one, that's right. Ian Russell? Very interesting. I don't know who he is. But yeah, Mark Evans was my Wheeler Dealers. Wheeler Dealers, yeah, I did watch that for a time there. I was impressed when Ed China rattle-canned the front guards on a Capri, and they looked terrible, and he admitted it. I thought that was good that he did that, because most of the time it's like, no, we'll cut that out and we'll get a professional to paint it. But Ed China seems to know what he's doing. He's very resourceful and he's got Company Banana being his business, and he has land speed records on couches and stuff like that. He does drivable furniture, that sort of thing. 83 Falcon GLs today and an XE. Good on you. Wheel Dealers, yeah, it was good. I was never really into Mike Brewer's kind of stuff where I just thought he used to overact a bit. And I never liked that he would go and see a car and then bang on about how much he got off it and how much he could have, he'd say things like, I would have paid that price for that car all day, but I managed to get more off. And I thought, yeah, you're a used car salesman. I never liked that. I hate that. People bragging about how much money they're making, not for me. And let's face it, it must have been funded by the network as well. So, in the scope of things, they weren't making money anyway. The money they were making was through advertising on the networks. It wasn't through the cars they were selling. And so, yeah, it's good to be able to make a profit on the car you're selling. But more if it's a hobby, it's just recovering the expense of it, I guess. Mark Evans did a series where he followed other people building their own cars too. He also did a series on like post-mortems on animals as well. I can't remember what it's called. Animal Autopsy. And he showed up on that. Hello from Portland, Oregon. Wow. Would you like your heat back? Is it warm up there, is it? Oregon's normally cool, isn't it? I would have thought Oregon was normally quite cool up there. He did a wonderful program on the diesel engine. So did Robbie Coltrane. He did planes, trains, and planes, and automobiles. I enjoyed that. When the car comes out of a paint shop and then they discover the wheels don't fit under the arches and they get an air saw to cut. Yeah, I'm really not into that. I'm really, really not into that. I hate it. And, the one that I hated above all else was Barry White, I think, had a speed shop out of Corona, California, and he got a Ford Torino, I think it was a Torino. It was a 2-door 6-cylinder thing from 1971, and it was flawless, absolutely flawless, and it had 6,000 miles from new. So he pulled it apart and put a big block in, and then that car came up for sale, and it wasn't on eBay, it was on another site, and they had probably 20 or 30 photos, close-up photos, and I just thought, man, you hacked that. It didn't even have a cover on the transmission thing. So yeah, he's a brilliant guy. 45 Celsius, are you kidding? 45 Celsius that's nuts. I had a 62 Falcon for many years, fun car. We did have them in the US after 63. Super cool to see Aussie later models. Yeah. And ours were actually based on yours, I think, up to 1971 or 72 when the XA came out. But that was very closely. That was based, I think, on the Torino anyway. Jag Drophead, yeah. Mark Evans was great. And he had great banter, and he obviously got along well with his director. They were obviously good friends. What is the thing? Pet haters people who are just into cars to make money. Those people can get stuffed. I've got a stronger word for it. And you know what? And then they boast about how much they flipped them for, and it can really, yeah, it's not a nice way to be. It takes the cars, the normal cars that we all grow up with, out of the financial means of a lot of people, and it's not fair. I mean, it's business, but it's not fair. And worse than that are the people peddling junk. And I always talk about this guy, and I won't mention who he is because I don't want to get some hate mail, but he sells parts normally on Gumtree and eBay, and his prices are twice what everyone else's are, and his stuff is just basically shit. It's just terrible. And you just think, how you sleep at night, I don't know. Bangers and Cash will be coming your way soon. Great. I like the idea. I love the fact the English call bangers. That's good. Just picked up a four-wheel drive F250 automatic today. Know nothing about them. Is that a 460? That'd be a big block car, wouldn't it? Oh, if it's American, it's left-hand drive. Are you from America? I can't remember. So yeah, I might call it a day. I just thought I'd get on and say good day, and that sort of thing. I think I figured out who this guy was giving me poo, and it's oh, I know who it is. Okay, I got a text from my niece. Right, James Brown is my niece's partner, and is that him? That's my niece. That's who it is. I blocked his number, and I've never heard from him. He never. So that's who was trolling me. Oh, okay, oh, that's all right then. If he's family, that's cool. Sorry. See you later, guys. Oh, it's a 302, isn't it? Oh, hang on, what have I done? Any tips on how to chop out a Scorpion Sigma front window? Yeah, just kick it out. They're just urethane. Oh, they'll have a fitting kit. It might just be that mastic stuff, and you can just kick it out. Hang on, where am I up to? Yeah. See you, Phil. Take care. Irritating presenter quirks. Mike Brewer knocks the seller down to a price and moans when people offer him less. Mike Brewer's actually got a car yard, or he had a car yard in England. Oh, Mark Evans director Pete. They are childhood friends. Yeah. Oh, they had great banter. It was funny. I used to really enjoy. That was like Top Gear. They had that natural banter. It wasn't manufactured or anything like that. Leepu. Oh, let's talk about Leepu before I go. Oh, Leepu. All right, so Leepu wanted to be the world's most successful car designer, and he worked out of a place. The first show was Bangla Bangers, and that was that English guy who's always yelling at people. I can't remember his name, Bernie Feynman. And Leepu came from very humble beginnings. He grew up in Bangladesh, and he used to get, trashed cars and make them into masterpieces. But the steel he was using was this really, really thin stuff that he could bend, and he didn't put anything on paper. He used to look at it and then figure out what he was going to do. And some of the stuff they did on there was very questionable, because obviously what Leepu had grown up with in Bangladesh was very different in terms of standards for customised cars than what they had in England. And so they did London Chop Shop, or Chop Shop London Garage, and they were making cars out of humble vehicles, and they sold one to a celebrity. I think it was in Pseudo Echo, or one of these, but not Pseudo Echo, one of these bands, 1980s bands. And Martin Kemp was the guy, and it was I can't remember what it was, but I think it was a Saab or something. And the Volkswagen, he ended up selling it, and the Volkswagen Car Club, I could be wrong, which car club, I think it was the Volkswagen Car Club, bought the car with the express intention of blowing it up in an arena and selling tickets for it and donating the money somewhere. And he, Leepu got a bad, or at least they felt the modified car scene felt that it wasn't indicative of what they were doing with cars. That Chop Shop or London Garage, whatever it was called, was butchery, and they shouldn't have done it. They did miss when they were filming or when they were editing. They did miss something, and I saw, and I had to rewind it, pause it a couple of times to catch the frame. And a guy had a big board full of that fiberglass box filler, and that's how they were getting their curves. It was all fill. So the cars would have weighed a ton, and they came out looking wonderful. But gee whiz, some of it was the way they were doing it was quite bad. Where was I up to? But still, I'd watch Lee before I'd watch Mike Brewer. And if you watch Ed China's stuff, Mike Brewer, Ed China actually does come across, even though he's good for them and good for them, he does appear a bit bitter and twisted about it. So, and he would do. And they got Ant Anstead, and Ant Anstead's a clever guy too. He's got his own company building, and he likes using terms like bespoke, building bespoke cars and all that sort of stuff. Lee Poo. Thanks for live feed. Thank you very much. Don't like. Saw behind the scenes. Look at Foos's workshop during filming Overhauling. He had 50 guys working on the TV resto car. How quickly could they do the XC if you had 50 top professionals? I know, a week. It would have been longer than 6 years. You spoke to Bernie for an hour, did you? Under the Arches. So, yeah, it was in Bethnal Green, was it? Were you in London at the time? I think it was in Bethnal Green where they had those. The Arches were underneath the railway line, I think, in the East End of London. Was it in the East End? I think it was. I just love driving checks, so I was not selling them. Yeah, he did one with a Canadian called Mario. And if you look at it's on YouTube, and if you look at that show, I didn't think it was that bad. I find Bernie Feynman kind of grates on me a bit because he's always yelling and putting people down. I don't like that. But yeah, I don't know. You don't know enough about it because some of it, it's like people used to say the American Hot Rod was the obscene deadlines was more about TV ratings, and the same with the Tuttles with American Chopper, but they are actually real arguments. Bad Chad's channel? No, I haven't. I spoke to him over the net. Bernie Feynman, was it? Jules Holland. Yeah, it was a Rover P4. Yeah, but Martin Kemp had one too. Yeah, Jules Holland had a P4. I remember that. And Martin Kemp. And Rover P4, you've got to really know your cars to do one of those well. You can't just bang together one of those things because it wouldn't be reliable. Yeah, they probably did. They got him to act that way, but no one wants to see that. He's probably quite a humble fella. I wouldn't know. I don't know. I got a little bit sick of the antics of that sort of thing. Well, hang on a second. Anstead is no longer. Oh, hang on. Okay, so Brewer returned to the UK with an ex-Formula One mechanic called Elvis. Yeah, I think he should probably just quit, right? What's this bad Chad? Bad Chad is like not telling the king he's naked. Oh, not telling him he's naked. Ellie's Garage, a girl and her dad restoring a 65 Ford Falcon in the States. Quite good to watch. Ed China's got a new YouTube channel, has he? There's a couple of things that I want to ask you actually before I go. There's a guy, Blade Mate Lawn Care. Good guy. And he videos himself mowing the lawn, but like big, like we're talking really messy yards, and he cleans them up. I don't know how many subs he's got, but he only started in October last year, and he's really successful. He's done really well. Hang on. Because mine's kind of, hang on, I've misspelled it. Blame it. He's got almost 60,000 subscribers since August last year, or October last year or something. Hugely successful. And there was a car one, BMW Selena, and she was a South and she picked up 20,000 subs straight out of the gate. I wonder why, but it's no, he doesn't mow for free. No, Ed China's, he just mows them for free. No, it's not that he doesn't do it for free. No, it's a business. He's really bloody good too. Like, I've got to take my hat off to the guy. But there must be something therapeutic that makes people watch. I mean, there was one guy, I was looking at these vintage washing machines, and this guy was doing a lot of washing, and he showed the whole thing. He filmed the washing machine with the lid off. And it's got like 30,000 views. It's like, what? I don't understand YouTube. Maybe you guys can tell me how it works. Anyway, I reckon it might be time to go. Thank you, James Brown. I'll unblock your phone number because I know who you are now. And yeah, it's all good. Anyway, I'm off. I've got to go. I want to watch some TV. One of my daughters is finishing work soon, so I'm going to pick her up. And that's about it. So thanks very much for joining me. Take good care of yourselves. I'll do another feed in about a week or so. By then, James might not be sending me pictures of dildos and stuff like that. See you later. Take care.